So we will start with collections.
Yes, the collection is the last topic which is left from the core Java. By tomorrow, it will be completed. Okay, the next week, from the next week, we will start the Selenium process. And from the next week onwards, I will start providing the recordings of all the assignment that I have given.
So even what assignment you have given first to that I have completed that you will check or we will check on our own.
Mm, it's better I will provide the recording because there you will get the clear explanation and you can check by your own. Like if I check your, then I won't be able to check others. Uh, it's better to give. I will provide the solution and you will cross check from your side. Okay, so let's move on to the collection part. So why we use collection? So in collection, basically used to perform data related activity in a very simple language. If I say to store a data, to retrieve a data, to modify a data, to delete a data, to replace a data. Right. So these are some data related operations that we generally perform. So for that in Java, they have created a framework, by default framework, which is known as collection. Right.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I'm not able to see your screen.
Is it with everyone?
Yes.
Okay, I'm resharing. Now I'm sharing. Let me know if you can see. Can you see now?
Yes.
Okay. So for that, as I said, in Java we have a collection framework. It has a collection of interfaces and classes. In the collection framework, there are various interfaces and classes are there, which help to perform data related operations, storing and processing. So these operations, storing, adding, deleting, modifying, replacing, fetching, all these operations can be performed with the help of collection framework. For that, we have so many interfaces and classes. This framework has several useful classes which have tons of useful methods, which makes a programmer task super easy. So now you got to know what is the meaning of collection and why we use it. There are, as I said, there are very various interfaces and methods, classes. All we are not going to learn. So some of them I will cover, which are important for the Selenium. And some theoretical questions I will cover in the assignment part, which are important for the interview. So on this diagram, if you see the first and the parent interface of this collection framework is the iterable. This is your parent interface. Under this, everything is available. Under this, there is a collection child interface, which is known as collection. This extends this interface, iterable. So with this diagram, we can say this is our parent interface, which is extended by the framework collection interface. Now this collection interface has three sub interface, which is known as list, queue, and set. There are three sections. There is a purpose, but that is why they have created these three sections, because on data related operations there are so many different mechanism are there. If you are proper from IT by means computer science or IT background, from your BTech or BE side, then you know the concept of data structure. That is a purely development part. So that in data structure there are different processes and mechanism to perform data related operations. Okay, so that is why I said everything I am not going to cover, because that belongs to the data structure part that we do not need to learn. That is purely for the development perspective, right? So based on those different mechanisms, they have divided this entire thing into three sections: list, queue, and the set. In the list, there are so many. Again, this list interface is implemented by these many classes: array list, linked list, vector, and stack. This linked list, vector, and stack are the part of data structure. Array list we will learn from the list chapter, and this is important for Selenium also. In some of the concept of array list we use in the Selenium. Okay, so as of now, this list is getting implemented by these three classes. Among these three, from the list interface, we are going to learn about array list. This vector is getting implement is getting is a parent class of this stack. Stack is a child class of this vector. And stack also comes under data structure. That is why we don't need to bother about these topics. We do not use anything in the Selenium. Array list is important. We will focus on this. Queue, on the queue side, we will not cover anything. Like stack, there is a different mechanism of data operation, which is queue, that has its own different mechanism for handling the data. Both will do the same operation, but the mechanism is different. Queue is totally belongs to the data structure part. So we are not going to focus on this. From the set, we have hash set and linked hash set. These two class are implementing this set interface. Among these two, we will learn about hash set. This set interface is implemented again by a sub interface, which is known as sorted set, which has a tree set. Now, tree set and sorted set, again, the part of data structure. Data structure is a complete subject. Only those, if you are from computer science or IT background, then you can understand it. Otherwise, you won't be able to understand it. Okay. So this tree set is again a different mechanism. It will also do the same thing, data operation, but it has a different mechanism. It stores the data in a tree structure format. It stores the data in a queue format. In a queue, let's suppose a railway ticket counter where there we stand in a queue. So in that mechanism, it handles the data. Stack is a different concept. So that is why there are different mechanisms for handling data operations. Everything we do not need. If you go to learn about collection in details, it will take 2-3 months. So on the basis of selenium perspective, which is important, and some of the interview questions that you can expect in interview that I will explain in this collection. We are only focusing from the testing side, so no need to go on the development area. So from this collection part, from the list, I'm going to cover array list. From the set, I'm going to cover hash set. Apart from collection, there is one more framework which is known as map that I will cover tomorrow. In the map, there is hash map concept that I will that we will also see. So among all these, only common part is data operation. Everything, each and every class or interface which I am going to explain, everything will do the same thing, which is data operation. There will be different methods. There will be some facility are available in list, some facility are available in set, some are not available in list, some are available in set. So only these things we are going, these are the things are available in this interface and classes. Basically it almost similar to string, I would say. In a string we learn about inbuilt methods. Here also we will learn about inbuilt methods. In a string we only deal with the string type of data. Here we will deal with any kind of data, string, integer, float, any kind of data. Okay. So first let's start with the list interface. List interface is the child interface of collection interface. As you can see, this is a child interface of collection interface. It inhabits a list type data structure in which we can store the ordered collection of objects. It can have duplicates value. This is the important part in the list. List can store duplicate value also. Let's suppose there is a value called 5. You can also store one more 5. You can store one more 5. That means basically it can store duplicate values also. And this is the difference between list and set. List can store duplicate value, set cannot store duplicate value. It will only store unique value. In the list, we will learn about array list. Array list class implements the list interface that we have seen in the diagram. It uses a dynamic array to store duplicate elements of different data types. We have seen like in array is static array, right? Its size once defined cannot be changed. Once we define a size 5, then we cannot store a value at the index number 5. We can only store value till the index number 4. That is why the array is static. But in array list, the array becomes dynamic. You can add n number of data. You can delete n number of data. You can modify n number of data. Here you do not need to specify any size. The size will keep on increase or decrease based on your operation. If you add, size will automatically increase. If you delete, size will automatically decrease. That is why array list is known as dynamic array. Why array list is better than array? This example, the explanation just now I have given you. Right? Now the methods. First of all, we will see how we can create an array list. Yeah. I will just explain a simple logic, then we will continue from tomorrow. But tomorrow class can be extended little bit. It depends on the flow of the batch. So first of all, how we can create an array list? We have to create an object of array list is a class, so we have to create an object of array list. Syntax is little bit different, that you have to remember. Now this array list comes under a package which is known as java.util. So now see, we have to import this. If we want to use the array list concept, then we have to import a package. Then only we can use it. Okay. Now this is the syntax of creating an array list object. Just now I have told you array list can be used to perform any type of data operation. It cannot be only string. It can be integer. It can be float. It can be double. Right. So this array list that you have created, in this array list, which kind of data operation you want to perform? What will be the type of data? So that type you have to define. So here, this array list I am creating to perform integer related data operations. So that type you have to define. And now if you notice, I haven't written integer, int. That is the basically type. But here I have written integer. And what is integer? I already explained. Integer is a class that wraps a value of primitive type, integer, in an object. If, as I told in the string class, any type of data, whether it is any primitive data, for each and every primitive data, there is a class in Java. So for integer, there is an integer class, which is basically known as wrapper class. There is a concept in core Java, wrapper class. In the wrapper class, for each and every data type, there is a class created. For integer, there is an integer class is created. What it basically does, it wraps the value of a primitive type integer into an object. It means it gives the object form of any data. Currently here the data is integer. So here it gives an object form of integer number, of integer data. That means if you write integer a equal to 5, so 5 is a number. But if you wrap the number into an integer class, so that 5 will become an object. That 5 will not be a number. That 5 will become an integer object. It means in array list or any list set or anything, whenever you are dealing with any data, so that data is not just a number, not just a string. That data is an object. That means that data, if it is an integer, then that data becomes an integer object. If you write here string, then that data will become a string object. So
Sir,
my base,
sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you. So
yeah,
object will be only for integer or I mean a string or anything.
yes, it can be whatever type you define here. Let's suppose if you define here string, so now the data you can only add string related data. So that data will basically be object. That will not be a simple string data. So here what string is doing, or let's move on to the previous example. If I write integer equal to 5, so yes, 5 is a number, integer number. But if you wrap it with the help of integer class, so that number 5 will become an integer object. So in a string, we deal with the string type of data and then we perform the operations. But in collection, we will perform operations on the objects. Like each and every data will be our object. It will be treated as an object. It will not be treated as an data. There is a method which is known as add. In the list, there is a method. Here there is, I just have created a list and now I want to add some data in the list. So there is a method called add. If I write here 4, so now 4 has been added to this list. Similarly, if I write here, let's suppose 5, 3, 2. Okay. Now this 5, 4, 3, 2 are not an integer data. These are integer objects because here you have defined the integer wrapper class, not the integer data type. So it will be all this data, whatever you are adding, that will not be an integer number, that will be an integer object. If you print it, all this data are getting added over here. So this is a basic difference which is not clearly explained in websites, you can say, or I don't know, other sources. So that is why I have explained this. See now, the numbers are stored in a list format, in an array list format.
And then what is a difference between I mean integer object and integer value?
What is the difference between an object? Why we create an object?
Yes, because you wrap the class, right? Integer here. So
Right.
we can simply we can write the into.
Here you are saying to write an int, but it will not accept because the structure of array list is created that it will only treat any value as an object. It will not treat any type of data. So here it will not allow you to write int. Here you can only define the object. Any type, because simple, In collection, if you want to perform data operation, so you have to treat every data as an object.
Okay.
Okay. Because the structure is created in this way. It will not allow you to store the data in a data type format, any number format or in any string format. It will allow to store the data in integer object format, array string object format, float object format. So data will be same. Here 4, 5, 3 and 2 all are the data, but they are here represented as an object, integer object. Everything will be same. We can even perform addition, subtraction, everything we can do it. But this will be treated as an object, not as a data type.
To add each and every number, we have to give a list dot add.
Yes, every time whenever you need to add any data, you have to call this one.
If we are giving n number of data means,
In number of add you have to write.
okay.
There is only one method add to add any data in the array list. Okay. Now rest of the part we will continue from tomorrow. See if you see its parameter, it accepts an object. This method adds an object to the array list. That is why I said it will not treat any data as a type. It will treat the data as an object. So this method adds an object. Which kind of object? Integer object. It will be a, you will see 3. 3 is just an integer number, but here it is treating it as a integer object. Everything will be same. Only difference is here it is treating the number as an object. That's it. Because it will only allow you to store objects. It will allow you to store the number or a string in the form of object, because it accepts the wrapper class. It doesn't accept the data type. Okay, so if there is no further doubt, then we can close the call, and from tomorrow we will continue. Okay, then thank you everyone.